Hey there, friends. Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 AFTERBUZZ TV recap of Roadies. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
We all know this one. You've heard it a million times. Son of a preacher man. And it was delightful. Did you hear that? Billy Ray was a preacher's son. I thought that was a fine detail that they pulled out of this episode. I really enjoyed that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the AFTERBUZZ TV recap of episode 2 of Showtime's Roadies. I am your host, Tamra Brown. Unfortunately or fortunately, I'm flying solo tonight, so please bear with me. You can find me on Twitter at BrownTamra, and you can also find me on Instagram at Tamra_blue. And you can also find me right here at the AFTERBUZZ TV recap of Roadies. Guys, episode 2, here we go. I have to say, personally, I really liked this one a lot better than the first one. I think that's fair to say. And I would love your feedback if other people felt the same as I did. So please remember to comment on our YouTube page or feel free to tweet at me. This episode, I felt we got to dive a little bit deeper into the world of Roadies, which is what I thought was missing from episode 1. And a show that is entirely about the backstage process of a stadium caliber band. So this is an insanely successful band, Staton-House, and this well-oiled machine that is their backstage crew. And in the first episode, we didn't, I feel, really get a fair understanding of what each of the characters' jobs were on the crew, and any sort of inside baseball information into the world of Roadies, which, if you're like me and you are a huge rock and roll nerd, any glimpse into the that nitty-gritty world of the Roadies, you really want to hear the details about that. Am I wrong? So I have to say, in this episode, Reg's interviews with each of the members of the crew, it really helped me kind of understand what they did and what they brought to the table, and I'm really happy that they did that in episode 2. I suppose they couldn't have done it in episode 1 because, maybe that's just a little bit too much on the nose expose for a pilot. But I was happy to find out a little bit of information that I was wondering. For example, what is Kellyanne's job on the crew? I didn't know from the episode 1. She just seemed like a random doer. I'm going to move this box over here, like the opening of Law and Order. You really just didn't. You saw her moving things and a little bit of randomness. We find out this episode that she was, in fact, a rigger in the electrical crew. But she has now been moved to the teleprompter. So let's start with the fact that in the beginning of the episode, it opens up, and Staton-House, Christopher does this thing. He kisses his fingers like an Italian chef. This episode is called Memphis. I feel like this episode should have been called Fingertips Kiss for as much as they referenced that. I feel like in the first 10 minutes of the episode, how many times did you hear the word fingertips kiss? So it gets to be his like signature thing, which is pretty understandable. Ozzy has eating bats on stage. Every rock star has its signature thing. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, I wouldn't imagine. But apparently, the kissing the fingertips thing is something that it rubs people the wrong way, and it went a little bit viral. And it's the first thing that Bill has to tackle. It was really nice seeing Bill as he's somebody that you really root for, I feel like, because he is one of the characters that you actually get to see a lot of flaws from him, and I really appreciate that. In this episode, we're missing Phil. Ron White's character was the diamond in the rough of episode 1 for me. I mean, I really hope that he's coming back. Just the little glimpse of him that we got on the FaceTime was very enjoyable to me. I can't wait to see Ron White again. I hope that he comes back very soon. I hope they find a reason to bring Phil back. But so Bill, he attempts to do Phil's like morning circle, and it's just kind of meh. It's not going well, and it's sort of an indicator that the rest of the crew is like, Bill's not really, he's not Phil. He doesn't have the confidence and the swagger to really steer this ship. And Bill just tells him, he explains that he's the Laird Hamilton of rock and roll, which was a reference that I had to look up. Laird Hamilton is a surfer, it turns out. Those are the sort of details that I really want to see more in these shows. The reason I love Cameron Crowe is because he was an editor of Rolling Stone. This guy is a music dork. Like, he's got great soundtracks in his movies. He's got a lot of great references, and those are details that I've been waiting to hear in Roadies. This episode was written by Winnie Holtzman. And she did a great job, but I want to keep, please give me more of those details. Like, make me look stuff up. Tell me, make an analogy of some place, and I have to figure out what that is. That being said, so Bill's opening, circle to sort of like amp up the tour. They're in Memphis. The Finger Kiss was closing a show in Little Rock. Episode 1 was in New Orleans. Now they're in Memphis. Memphis is the music mecca. I can't believe I've actually never been there, but in Morning Circle, Bill talks about Elvis, and only Elvis, which I felt was strange because, yeah, you can't go to Memphis without stopping by Graceland, but personally, I don't free associate Memphis to Elvis immediately. I mean, I would free associate Memphis to Sun Records immediately, which includes Elvis, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, all Johnny Carroll, like all of the amazing rockabilly bands that I love. Like, I would think Sun Records before I would think Elvis. And I would think a guy like Bill and the crew that have been working in music for so long would also do the same. And he doesn't even mention Stax. But he does mention... where is it? Alex Chilton and the Box Tops. Happy to hear that. That is very obscure. I'm more familiar with Alex Chilton because I'm a fan of Big Star. I enjoyed the reference, but it's super crazy to jump from Elvis to these little nuggets of Alex Chilton and the Box Tops, Ernestine and Hazel, which was a restaurant, and in the Peabody Hotel. Like, love those nuggets. Throw those in. But just, as a music fan, I want to watch a show about music that makes me feel smart and makes me feel like a music fan, so that I'm not watching this show and thinking that the writers don't really have sort of a reg understanding of music. I'm not saying I'm any sort of aficionado. I don't mean to imply that. I'm just saying that the first episode didn't really give me any indication that this was a show for music lovers. This episode made me feel a little bit more like they knew what they were talking about, and I want to see more of that, guys. Like, let's get obscure. Show me some of those Cameron Crowe picks for music to dabble in there. I love that. So this episode was basically sort of Bill finding his ground, right? Like, finding his footing and figuring out a way to, steer the ship as well as Phil did. And the crew has these WWPD t-shirts. What would Phil do? Those are great. Nobody knows where they came from, and nobody knows who's the one that started making them and passing them out. But sort of a slap in the face for Bill because everybody just sort of misses the veteran of the crew. Let's see. We move into Reg is giving these. He's having. It's a lot like Office Space when they're bringing in members of the corporation to say like, so what do you do here? What do you bring to the table? Are you worth keeping on in the crew? It was kind of funny. I wish that they had shouted out some sort of an Office Space reference to say, just to acknowledge how similar it was. But I kind of liked Reg a lot better in this episode. The first episode, he was vilified. This one, he just seemed a little bit more sympathetic, and I really enjoyed that. So Reg is bringing everyone into his office and sort of asking them like what they do, what they bring to the table. Super enjoyable scene is when he brings the British guy and has that little moment of, where are you from? I'm from the North. I don't know about you guys, but I have known several people in my life, Americans, who just sort of give themselves a British accent. So I think a lot of us can relate to the annoyance of that person who just sort of takes on, they just decide they're going to be British. So that was really nice to see Reg call him out on that. He's from New Jersey, according to his W-2. We all knew that, but it was nice to see it finally play out like that. Reg calls Wes into his office, Kelly's twin brother, and Wes. We find out that Wes has also been touring with bands for years and years. I'm looking forward to finding out more about Wes's backstory because we know that he's a coffee aficionado. We know that he's been touring with bands for just as long as Kelly, or maybe even longer, and he seems to be great with kids. He seems to, so far, be the only one who can kind of get a wrangle on Winston, and Winston's precociously sexual shenanigans. The Dirty Sanchez thing on the potato head, that was that was surprising for. I guess in the first episode they said that he took a chunk of flesh out of somebody's arm. So this kid is not a normal rascal. He's not a little rascal terror. Like, this kid is bad news, messing around. But when Reg brings now Donna is kind of I'd say behind Ron White, Donna is possibly my second favorite character. Reg brings Donna into his office. She was the only one from the first episode that I understood that she was a sound engineer. One of the things that I also would like for them to give a little nod to, especially because I know, looking on IMDb, this is a show that has a few female writers. From what I understand, being on a roadie crew, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you're a female on the crew, you're in the minority, especially if you're a lady who has like one of the technical jobs, like sound engineer. So I would like to see, I don't know why, maybe it's just me, but I want to see Donna and or Kelly kind of talk about like, well, no, I'm sorry. Like Donna did here. Like she said, you don't know how many times I've been asked whose girlfriend, which member of the band's girlfriend I am. Like that was great. I was expecting a little bit more of that from the first episode, but maybe, I think I'm just asking too much too quickly. Like this show seems to like slowly developing the information that I want to hear. So like I'm glad that there was that little piece of information that came out in Donna's interview, because I want Kelly and Donna and maybe even Shelley, any of the female crew members, to sort of talk about the uniqueness of being a female having a tech job in a music crew, because that's sort of a rare thing, and can also be cause a lot of friction. And then to this episode, we find out that Donna and Kelly are really tight buds. That was a strange revelation, just because, in the beginning, like, we haven't really seen them even talk to each other. And so now, we find out they're really close buds, which is cool. But, for the only, like, couple ladies on a crew like this, there's more realistically likely to be like tension between them. But, maybe we will get to that eventually. So let's see. Bill mentions his dad in this episode, and we kind of get the impression that Bill has sort of a sordid past with his father. That's why we started out this recap with "Son of a Preacher Man," because the line in the song that's like Billy Joe, it's a little bit indicative of is Bill's dad a preacher man? Is that song about him? I think we're going to find out a little bit more of Bill's backstory, and maybe whatever it is that he's always trying to like fulfill, whatever it is that he's always trying to prove, which is something that, he's going to have to do now for a crew that doesn't quite believe in him, that he can fill Phil's shoes. One little detail that I did enjoy, and again, I'd like to see more of this, more music specific, but Winston's playing with a balisong knife, and they call it out as a balisong knife and a butterfly knife, which it is, and the only reason that I know that is because my boyfriend teaches martial arts, and only within the past year have I learned what a balisong knife was, but I loved that little reference in there, so that was fun. Keep giving us these details. I love it. I love those things like that. So Bill can't find an opener because the Head and the Heart got fed up with Bill, and they went to tour with Neil Young in Europe. So Bill has to find a replacement opener. This is strange to me that Bill had a hard, he's like, who am I going to get to open? They've presented us that Staton-House is like an arena rock band, like huge band. And they can't, he should be able to like snap his fingers and like find an opener, right? That seems so strange that that's like a tricky thing that he'd have to do. So he gets Phil on the horn, and Phil refers him to Rainwolf to come in and open. And I do love the line when Phil says that, because as we know, Phil got fired from the tour, but then went on to, he's now been hired with Taylor Swift. And he says that this is Taylor Swift's world, and we're all just living in it. Love that. That was a beautiful line. I'm not even a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I super appreciate, I appreciate that Phil, didn't go off to tour with like Neil Young or like with America or like with some, Brian Wilson, he's still always on the cusp of like the hip band, and so he's going to tour with Taylor Swift. I love that. So let's see. We move to Kelly has to be she's been sort of relegated to be the teleprompter now, which apparently sounds like it's supposed to be some sort of demotion, maybe just because it requires a lot more work. She has to like actually Google the lyrics and stuff like that. So she's been relegated to do that. I think it was Christopher, or maybe it was one of the other band members that said that he was like, don't worry about it. I don't quite yet have Stageheimers. So let's see. So we find out that when Sherry's meeting with Reg, she gives us a little bit of expose on Bill. And so we find out that Bill and Christopher have been friends since the 8th grade. Good to know. And Bill started out selling merch. That was a nice little detail, too. A friend of mine who's been in the touring business for years, she started out doing merch and worked her way up from there. So that was a nice, it's nice to see that Bill's made his way up to tour manager from merch. And Sherry is production manager. So again, like these are questions that I had. We knew that Bill was the tour manager in the first episode, but I didn't know what Sherry was. Again, I didn't know what Kelly's job was. So I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I really needed to know what everybody's job was in this, very intense crew that's a lot like a family. So we find out that, so Bill and Christopher have been friends for a long time. Reg suggests that the band put out a boxed set. That's we kind of set up Reg as being this like somebody who doesn't quite, he doesn't have the passion for the music that everybody else in this crew has. What did they ask him in the first episode? Like, what's on his iTunes playlist? And he was just kind of like, yeah, Queen and some other stuff. And they were just like, rolled their eyes at that. But so we kind of get the impression that Reg is not really a music fan. He's more of the business guy. And he suggests that the band puts out a boxed set. And I feel like that was something that was sort of, again, just like, we're in it for the music, man. I think nowadays that's a lot more ultimately the reality of this tour manager and the crew and everybody would be to make money. I mean, that's the goal of that's the realistic goal of any band touring today. I cannot believe that a band that's playing stadiums would not already have a box set out. So that was a little strange to me. So then we see Kelly. She goes to try to find a quiet place to program the teleprompter, and so she goes into one of the vans, and Reg is in there too. I feel like they're like slowly setting up a relationship between Kelly and Reg. I like that it's like in its infancy. We don't quite know, where it's going or anything like that. But I like that they've got that going so far. So we just see a little bit more of their relationship, sort of getting a little bit more comfortable with each other. I don't know where they're going to go with this, but I can see, since Kelly has been sort of set up as our protagonist, she's got to have a love interest. And so far, even though it's not very strong, I don't really know who her love interest would be besides besides Reg. So I guess they're going to very slowly build up this love interest. Then let's see, in the truck, Reg lets it be known to Kelly that he's the one that made the t-shirts. He did it because he felt that it was best for, I didn't write the line down, but he said something like, this is, it's important to keep a crew hungry for, what they see is the correct leadership or something like that. So he made the t-shirts, and that was a fun surprise. So the whole time, Bill doesn't want to directly ask Phil, what he did with Christopher on their walk to the stage, but he keeps alluding to the fact that he needs to figure out how to walk to the stage with the band, because he doesn't really know how to do it. So then it's just time to go, and he's just run out of time, and the band has to take the stage. And Bill just says to Christopher, if it's okay with you, we're just gonna walk in silence. And Christopher's like, yeah, cool, just how we did it with Phil. So I guess it's sort of an indicator that Bill is as good as Phil, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. He just needs to have a little bit more confidence in himself, is what it seems to, it's what that seems to mean. They also, a couple lines hinted to some tension between Christopher and Tom in the band. They mentioned a couple, when Bill says, he finally tells Christopher to not do, I think it was when Bill tells Christopher to not do the kissing the fingertips thing, and he says, is that something that bothered Tom, or did Tom tell you to say that? I just watched the episode, so I might not have written down certain lines, but we get little indications like that there's a little bit of friction between Christopher and Tom. So I am for certain that is something that we're going to see played out in the next few episodes. let's see, what else can we go over? Oh, we find out that, let's see, Milo accused the head in the hand of drawing the Dirty Sanchez on Rick's potato heads. We find out that it's Winston, the kid that did it, but in the very beginning, he says that it was drawn on with it was from brown crayon. So I don't know why they wouldn't know that it was Winston like right away. Who's most likely to have brown crayon and also be crazy enough to do something like that? Probably just the kid. We find out that, we talked about Donna and Kelly are pals. I want to find out more about Donna. We know that she and her partner are having a baby. She seems like a cool chick. She's a sound engineer. I want to know, I want to see more Donna. More Donna. So Bill convinces Christopher. He says, it's not going over well on social media. You got to nix the finger kiss thing. Christopher's like, no problem, dude. I'll do what you say. So Christopher at least shows Bill some respect. So that's promising. I think Bill takes a lot of, gets a little bit of confidence in that. But so what happens? He goes out on stage, and as the show's starting, everybody in the audience looking like chefs. They're all kissing their fingers. And so, of course, Christopher has to do it too. So they didn't end up nixing the fingertips thing. But I think that this was a decent sort of development of Bill sort of finding his own footing, sort of, figuring out that he is the boss and taking the reins from Phil and just really, stepping up. And that was really nice to see. But it was also nice to see Bill. I like his character because of the fact that he's not, they do try to paint Reg as this like, what was it? He has like a Fendi backpack and another thing that everything about Reg, the crew seems to roll their eyes at. But Bill, he kind of, in the scene where he's like cleaning or trying to fix the plumbing issue in Christopher's bathroom, like, I love a tour manager that still gets down and dirty and doesn't make somebody else, do the dirty work. That's really nice. Maybe that's why he's not ever going to be, maybe we're never going to see him actually like step up and fully take the reins and just become, like as a hot shot as Phil was. Maybe it is because he's willing to, get down on his knees and fix a plumbing problem. With the WWPD shirts. So that was kind of poetic, sort of passing the torch from Phil to Bill. What's with the, is it purposeful that their names are Kelly, Shelley, Bill, Phil? It's like a Dr. Seuss had a hand in the writing of this television show. So folks, because it is just me taking the reins by myself tonight, we are going to keep this episode recap short and sweet, but I will maybe make a few predictions of my own. I would say that we are going to see love blossom between Kelly and Reg, and she's probably going to be the one that keeps him from being booted out too quickly. I feel like it's going to be because of Kelly that Reg ends up staying in the picture. Let's see. I can also, obviously, we know they've been building up this this romance between Bill and Shelley, almost to an annoying degree. Like they're really hitting us over the head with the sexual tension between Bill and Shelley. Personally, I think I would rather not see that come to fruition because, like, it's just, I feel like I've just been beaten over the head with it. Like, Bill and Shelley, they secretly love each other, but for some reason, she's been married. He sleeps around with these 20-year-old, 19-year-old girls, which really irks Shelley. Like, maybe just keep it. I don't know if they're going to get together on the last episode of this season, but like, I kind of don't want to see that happen. It's just too on the nose. It's too on the nose. We don't need. I don't need Bill and Shelley to be my Ross and Rachel. I really don't need that. I don't know about you. Let me know. Comment on YouTube. Let me know what you think. Let's see. Anything else that I want to mention before we wrap up this episode? The nickname thing keeps coming back. You know, Kelly is just so annoyed at the fact that she never got a nickname, and Reg already has a nickname, Double D. So whatever this nickname thing means, I guess we're just gonna keep seeing little indications that Kelly never quite feels like she's 100% accepted by the rest of the crew. I really don't know why. Like, this crew seems to get along swimmingly. This crew gets along way better than I would imagine a Roadies crew realistically would get along. Like, I feel like most of the time they barely even talk to each other. A lot of them, there's way more arguing. You have work fights no matter whether you're working a Roadies crew or if you're, working in an office or if you're working at a Kinko's, wherever you are, you like get in fights with the people that you're working with. Everybody on this crew just loves each other. Waiting for, to see a little bit more realistic interpretations of what it might be like working on a Roadies crew. So that's Tamra Brown's recap of episode 2 of Roadies from Showtime. So I think we are going to wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. So do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter at BrownTamra. Follow me on Instagram at Tamra_blue. And let me know if you agree or disagree and what you might want to see in the next episode of Roadies. So we will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.